What if I told you most people aren't failing because they're weak, but because they've gotten too comfortable? We scroll through feeds, compare ourselves to others, feel envy, and end up stuck, weak, or lost. Comfort slowly kills us, while true strength is born in struggle. The ancient Stoics understood this long before smartphones and social media. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This isn't just a quote, it's a mindset that makes you unshakable. In this video, we'll explore 8 Stoic principles that will help you grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. This is real wisdom tested by time, not empty motivation. If you're serious about growth, don't treat this as just another motivational clip. Like, comment, share with those who need it, and don't skip a single principle. Everyone matters. Let's start with number 1. Welcome discomfort like an old friend. We've been taught to run away from pain, but the Stoics taught us the opposite. Face it head-on, eyes wide open. Think about your biggest moments of growth. Did they happen when you were comfortable, relaxed, and everything was easy? Or did they come when life hit you hard and you had to decide whether to rise or stay broken? Marcus Aurelius endured wars, betrayal, and illness, yet he led with calm and strength. He didn't avoid discomfort, he embraced it as a force to shape him. The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, he said. This isn't just a poetic phrase, it's a law of life. Every obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen your will. Every delay tests your patience. Every rejection teaches resilience. Modern culture tells us to avoid pain. Stoicism quietly replies, train with it. That cold shower is a test. That tough conversation is a challenge. That exhausting workout is where your character is forged. The Stoics believed that by choosing controlled discomfort, you prepare yourself for life's chaos. So when the storm comes, you're already built for it. Seneca, another Stoic, practiced sleeping on the floor, eating simple food, and wearing worn-out clothes. Not out of self-punishment, but self-discipline. Why? So that when life strips away your comforts, you won't be shocked, you'll be ready. Here's the truth. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's a mirror. It reveals who you really are, and more importantly, who you're becoming. We avoid small pain today, only to face bigger pain tomorrow. But if you lean into it and walk through that fire with full awareness, something powerful happens. You stop fearing pain, and that's where your freedom begins. From now on, see discomfort as your sparring partner. It might bruise you, but it's shaping you. Pick one small discomfort today and commit to it. No arguments, a cold shower, a deep conversation, sitting with boredom. Remind yourself that this is how warriors are made. Because the only way to become unstoppable is to stop running away. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Discomfort is my training ground. Number 2, stop letting your emotions control you. How often do your feelings dictate your day? Someone says something rude and you snap. Plans change and your mood shifts. You feel lazy, so you skip the gym, the work, the discipline. You're not alone. We all go through it. But here's the brutal truth. If you're ruled by your emotions, you're their prisoner. The Stoics believed that being enslaved by your feelings is worse than chains on your wrists. Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic teacher, said, "Anyone who can make you angry becomes your master. They can only do so if you let yourself be disturbed." Let that sink in. The driver who cut you off on the road, you handed them your peace. That breakup, you gave away your identity. That rude comment online, you surrendered your joy. Stoicism doesn't ask you to ignore your emotions. It teaches you to observe, understand, and respond instead of reacting. The difference between a child and a Stoic? The child throws a tantrum. The Stoic sits through the storm and thinks. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his era, wrote in his private journal, later known as Meditations, "If you are troubled by anything external, the pain is not caused by the thing itself. but by your perception of it. And this perception, you have the power to change at any moment. This is the kind of control we rarely talk about, the power to remain unshaken by things that don't deserve our energy. Yes, it's tough, because it means you can't blame others anymore. You can't say, "He made me angry," or "She ruined my day." You realize it's all on you. Your reaction was your choice. But here's the empowering part. You can choose again. You don't have to be a slave to your emotions. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. That's emotional strength. That's Stoic freedom. Next time you feel triggered, try this. Pause. Don't react immediately. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this feeling helpful right now? Respond with intention. This isn't being robotic, it's being in control. When you stop being controlled by your emotions, you become clear, calm, and powerful. You show up steady, and people notice. You no longer get knocked off balance by every little thing. You're grounded. And in today's emotionally chaotic world, that kind of stability is rare. It's magnetic. It's unstoppable. True growth begins when you stop being a puppet and start being the master of yourself. Number 3, stop expecting fairness. Life doesn't owe you anything. One of the quickest ways to suffer is to believe that life should be fair. Let that sink in. You work hard, but someone lazier gets the promotion. You love deeply, and they walk away. You do the right thing, yet still face consequences. And then anger rises. This isn't fair. But here's the Stoic truth. Fairness is a myth we create, not a universal law. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." Even the Emperor of Rome saw injustice every day. But instead of complaining, blaming, or falling into despair, he grounded himself in one unshakable truth. Life isn't about fairness, it's about strength. The Stoics never expected life to be kind. They expected pain, loss, betrayal, and change. And because they did, they were ready for it. Let's be brutally honest. Fairness is a beautiful ideal, but clinging too tightly to it only makes you weak. When we say, "This isn't fair," what we're really saying is, "I don't like how this feels, and I don't want to deal with it." Here's the law. You don't grow by expecting fairness. You grow by facing reality and moving forward anyway. Look around. Bad things happen to good people. Evil sometimes wins, and effort doesn't always lead to reward. That's not negativity, that's life. Now here's what separates the average from the unstoppable. The average person waits for fairness, but the Stoic builds inner strength so powerful that nothing external can break them. This doesn't mean you become cold or heartless. It means you stop waiting for the world to treat you fairly and start treating yourself right, no matter how the world behaves. Seneca once said, "Sometimes simply living is an act of courage, especially when life feels unfair." Here's what you do. Instead of complaining, use your pain as fuel. Build skills so strong they can't be ignored. Love deeply without expecting anything in return. Face betrayal and move forward with dignity. The Stoic approach is radical responsibility, not because everything is always your fault, but because the choice is always yours. You can't control how life hits you, but you always control how you respond. That calm, grounded, warrior-like response, that's what makes you unstoppable. Fairness isn't guaranteed, but freedom is earned, one powerful choice at a time. Number 4, focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. The Stoics believed your power lies in a very small, specific place, your control. Everything outside of that, let it go. Epictetus put it simply, make the best use of what is in your power and accept the rest as it happens. Here's the trap most people fall into. They try to control others, predict the future, obsess over outcomes, and then wonder why they feel anxious, powerless, or angry. But let's break it down. What is truly under your control? your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your responses. Everything else, opinions, chance, uncertainty, is beyond your control. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you dress for it. You can't control whether people like you, but you can control how you treat them. You can't control the economy, but you can control how much you learn, how you spend, and how you prepare. That shift in focus is huge. It puts your power back in your hands. Instead of being pulled in 100 different directions by things beyond your influence, you stand firm, centered on your own actions. Imagine you're in a storm at sea. The Stoic doesn't yell at the wind, they grab the wheel and steer the ship. That's what keeps you calm when others panic, focused when others complain, and disciplined when others drift. It's not about pretending the outside world doesn't matter. It's about choosing what deserves your attention, and 90% of what people worry about is completely out of their control. Here's a simple practice. Whenever you feel stressed, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, take action. If no, let it go. Simple? Easy? No. Powerful? Absolutely. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you live by this, people notice. You become unshakable, not because you control everything, but because you control yourself, no matter what happens. Number 5, practice voluntary hardship to build an unbreakable will. In a world addicted to comfort, discipline is a superpower. The Stoics didn't wait for life to challenge them, they challenged themselves first. Not to suffer, but to grow stronger. Not to punish themselves, but to prepare. Seneca once wrote, "Set aside certain days during which you will be content with the simplest and cheapest fare. Wear coarse and rough clothing and say to yourself, is this the condition I feared?" This was voluntary hardship, a conscious choice to face discomfort in order to build a mind that won't break under pressure. Now think about this. Most people today avoid discomfort at all costs. They never skip a meal, never sit in silence, and never go without convenience. But what happens when life gets tough? They break, panic, and blame others. The Stoic has already trained for hard times. They've faced hunger, fatigue, rejection, boredom, and struggle. This doesn't make them invincible, but it makes them adaptable. Willpower isn't built by watching motivational videos. It's built by intentionally doing the things you don't want to do. Voluntary hardship might look like fasting for 24 hours to remind yourself that you control your urges. Taking a cold shower when your mind screams no. Saying no to a luxury you can afford just to strengthen your self-discipline. Waking up early to train when your body begs to stay in bed. These small choices add up, and over time you become formidable. Not because you're harsh with yourself, but because you understand the truth. Comfort doesn't make you stronger, challenge does. And when hardship comes, as it always will, you don't run away, you smile, because you've already walked through the fire by choice. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues, wars, and betrayals, yet he wrote with calm and clarity. Why? Because hardship wasn't a shock to him, it was expected. And when you expect hardship, it loses its power to paralyze you. So instead of asking, how can I make life easier, ask, how can I become stronger? Practice being hungry, practice being alone, practice being cold, tired, rejected, and bored, and stay focused through it all. Because one day, life will throw more at you than you think you can handle, and when it does, you will rise. Number 6, detach from outcomes and fall in love with the process. We're often taught to obsess over results, get the job, close the deal, hit the goal, earn the money, be admired. But Stoicism flips that idea. Detach from the outcome and focus on mastering the process. Why? Because the result is never guaranteed, but your effort is always within your control. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and it is achieved by disregarding things beyond our control." When you cling to results, you set yourself up for pain. You go to the gym for a week, don't see abs, and quit.
You launch a project, it fails, and you feel worthless. You love someone, they leave, and you collapse. But what if instead you fell in love with the work itself? The showing up, the writing, the building, the thinking, the learning, the effort. That's the Stoic way. Because when you focus on the process, you always win, even if the outcome isn't what you imagined. And here's the paradox. Ironically, when you let go of needing the result, you start achieving more. Because you're not desperate, not emotional, not driven by validation. You're grounded in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you must, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present."
In other words, stop obsessing over what might happen and focus on working your process with courage right now. If you're a writer, write not to go viral, but to sharpen your mind. If you're an athlete, train not just to win, but to master your body. If you're building something, build not for applause, but for pride in the effort. The moment you tie your worth to outcomes, you become fragile. The moment you tie your worth to discipline, intention, and focus, you become unstoppable. Here's a Stoic mindset shift. Show up as if the result is already achieved, and you're simply enjoying the craft, whether you fail or succeed. Bonus, you've already won because you did the work. Number 7, embrace death. Live with urgency and purpose. Most people live as if they'll live forever. They waste time, delay their dreams, stay stuck in bad habits and toxic relationships. But the Stoics reflected on death, not to be morbid, but to wake up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This isn't fear, it's freedom, the realization that life is short and we don't get to choose when it ends. Every wasted moment is a moment we never get back. Let that sink in. You don't get to wait for someday. You can't keep telling yourself, "I'll do it later." You can't assume tomorrow is guaranteed. The Stoics practiced memento mori. Remember, you will die. They didn't say it to be grim. They said it to stay focused, present, and intentional. Because when you truly grasp that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop scrolling for hours. You stop arguing over meaningless things. You stop tolerating what doesn't serve you. Mediocrity is the enemy, and you need to start creating, loving, and moving forward now, not later. Seneca once said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." You may not control how long you live, but you do control how deeply you live. The most dangerous lie is believing there's plenty of time. There isn't. The risk is that you keep avoiding that business, postponing that important conversation, delaying forgiveness, or putting off change until next year. This is your moment. This is your time. A Stoic doesn't fear death. They look it in the eye and say, "You won't catch me sleeping through my life." This awareness doesn't cause anxiety. It makes you feel alive. Because the person who truly remembers death speaks honestly, loves openly, works with urgency, lets go of ego, and stops fearing failure. The real failure is a wasted life. Live like your time is borrowed, because it is. When you do, you become magnetic, focused, and powerful. You don't chase cheap validation, you move with purpose. People sense it, and so do you. Number 8, be a warrior for virtue, not for approval. Let's be honest, most people live for likes, praise, attention, and applause. But a Stoic doesn't act for the crowd, they act for virtue. Marcus Aurelius said, "Just do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." In other words, live with honor even if no one is watching. Speak the truth even if no one applauds. Keep your word even if it costs you. Train hard even when no one's looking. That's virtue. That's what builds a soul that can't be bought. It's not about being flawless, it's about having principles. Here's the tough truth. Doing what's right is often the hardest choice. It's easier to lie than to be honest. It's easier to impress than to be genuine. It's easier to seek approval than to stand alone.
But every time you pick what's right over what's easy, you sharpen your strength. You become someone your future self respects. You build an identity no one can take away. Seneca reminds us, "I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were watching my actions and reading my mind." That's true power. That's a life that doesn't break under pressure because it's built on integrity. In a world of facades, the Stoic stays real. In a world full of noise, the Stoic remains calm. In a world of performance, the Stoic is authentic. Want to be unstoppable? Don't live for praise, live for your values. Live so that even if you lose status, money, or followers, you still stand tall. Because the moment you stop needing the crowd, you become the kind of person they follow anyway. Be a warrior for what's right, not what's popular. And if you have to walk alone, walk like it's the only path that truly matters. If you've made it this far, it means something deep inside you is ready to grow, ready to leave behind distractions, weakness, and emotional chaos, and step into something greater. Not perfection, but power. Not control over others, but mastery over yourself. That's the Stoic way. It won't promise comfort, but it offers clarity, direction, and a meaningful life, even when the world around you is falling apart. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they didn't write for an easy life. They wrote to endure storms, battles, betrayals, and to face death with dignity. They taught us that true strength isn't in muscles or wealth, but in the person who keeps their word, the woman who meets fear without flinching, the soul that does what's right, especially when it's hard. You don't need motivation. You don't need the perfect moment. You just need to start right now. Train your mind, expect challenges, detach from outcomes, hold fast to your principles. Live like your time is running out, because it is. And the beautiful part? You don't need applause, praise, or anyone's understanding. Because when you walk the Stoic path, you become unshakable from within. That kind of strength is rare, real, and it's yours. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am becoming unshakable day by day. If this message resonated with you, if something inside you ignited, if you felt a spark of truth, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, comment your favorite law, share it with someone on their own journey, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're building a community of thinkers, warriors, and real ones who want more than noise, who want to live with purpose. And remember, don't skip any part of your life. It's all training. It's all transformation. Keep showing up, keep choosing strength, and don't stop until you become unstoppable.